Hello from one of my favourite places in the world, the MKM car park. After Hull City were held to a 1-1 draw by Charlton Athletic this afternoon, it's a result for City that keeps them, sees them 8th in the Championship, but now unbeaten in 5 games. And to be fair, it's frustrating, isn't it? Look, they led for pretty much the entirety of the second half. From the moment Joe Gelhardt rattled in his 3rd goal in 3 games to give them the lead, it looked like they were going to hold on for the 3 points, which would have been a 4th straight win for the first time in 4 years, and a 5th home win, which, you know, given that it took them until the end of the season to get 5 wins last season, is incredible. But I guess the greater context of the week, 7 points from 9 out of this week is fantastic, and it's 10 points from 12 as well. So, you know, it's not all bad, is it? I think if you've offered 8th in the Championship after 12 games at the start of the season, you just snap your hand off. I think it's just frustrating with having led, as I say, and been so resolute, so strong, and so relatively comfortable for much of it, to then concede a really bad goal in the 91st minute to Luke Berry it will rankle. It's one of those games, those classic Championship games that you come away feeling like you've lost, the away side come away feeling like they've won the game, and you both share a point. But I do think it's obviously 2 points drop, clearly. When you're leading 1-0 going into only 5 minutes of added time, you see it out. I think and that's what will really annoy the manager and also the players as well, is the goal was so avoidable, because initially the cross has come in. Panda has come a long way towards the edge of his box to try and claim a cross through a pack of players that he probably didn't need to try and claim. I mean, I love the fact he was trying to be positive and he was trying to come out, and if he'd stayed on his line, you say you can criticise that, but I think that's a really difficult catch. You know, they're a massive side in terms of height. That was a difficult claim. I think come out and just get 2 fists on it, get the ball towards halfway, get back, get reset, and then obviously defend the next ball in the box. But they didn't. He flapped at it a bit. The ball got turned towards goal and turned over onto the roof of the net. And from the corner, you know, obviously the corner came in. I think Charlie Hughes flicks it on inadvertently at the near post, and Luke Berry, a yard or 2 out, middle of goal, completely unmarked, turns it in. And that, I think when they reflect on it, they'll be really annoyed that they've not, A, the goalkeeper's not done better initially, B, that Charlie has flicked it on instead of flicking it away, and then the third one is that Luke Berry is completely in the middle of the box, unmarked, and I mean, that's criminal. It's criminal, and that is why City defensively they've been better recently, but there's still that moment where that lapse of concentration, switching off, and you're thinking like 85 minutes, 86 minutes. Again, they're relatively comfortable, and you think it's not been a great spectacle. It's been a gritty game that you so often get at this time of the year, on the back of what was a terrific performance in midweek. Just grit it out. The best teams, the teams that win promotion, see these games out. City aren't quite there yet, let's be realistic, but I still think I think you have to try and take the initial emotion out of it, of annoyance and frustration that they've thrown 2 points away. They've left 2 points out there. 10 points from 12 over the last 4 games is tremendous. It really is fantastic. And I think that's what we all have to remember when we wake up tomorrow morning, is that Hull City have taken 7 points from 9. At the start of the game last week at Birmingham City, if you'd have offered 7 points from 9, perhaps they don't come in the makeup of the week that they have, but I still think 7 points from 9 is tremendous. So, you know, positive progress. Interesting that he changed the shape, Jurkovic, today. He went with a back 3. He went 3 central defenders. Egan came in for Liam Miller, Shemi Ajay and Charlie Hughes. He went with Drame and Ryan Giles as the wing backs. Then kind of 2, Amir and Slater in midfield. Crooks playing in the 10 behind Carl Joseph. But I just, and this is not intended as any kind of criticism of Carl Joseph, because he's not Oliver McBurney. He just isn't. And if you compare the two, it's grossly unfair to Kyle. But I do think there was a couple of chances on Tuesday night, and perhaps a couple of chances again today, that if McBurney's in the team, they probably, I think there's definitely one of the two on Tuesday he puts in the back of the net, and I think there's one of the couple three that Kyle had today that he puts in the back of the net. Kyle's not your out and out centre forward. He's not your out and out number 9. He isn't McBurney, but he does a hugely effective job for the team. He runs his socks off. He presses. He's a grafter. But unfortunately, when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net, Kyle Joseph isn't McBurney, and I think that is where perhaps McBurney's been missed. Not so much on Tuesday night, because obviously they win the game, but I think today at 1-0 they carved out 2 or 3 really good openings, and had perhaps McBurney been in the team, he maybe takes one of them. Look, it's ifs and buts, we don't know. It's easy for me to sit here and say, well, McBurney would have taken one of those chances. You know, it's conjecture, and but I do feel that perhaps if they get, well, I know I would be convinced in saying if City had got the second goal tonight, or this afternoon, they would have killed the game off and gone on and won the game. Alas, it wasn't to be, and I don't want to pile on Kyle because he does such a great job for the team. But of course, it's like any team at any level. If you take out your best players, you're going to miss them. And generally, Hull City in the Championship, the players that you're bringing in aren't going to be at the level of the players that you're bringing out, and that's just, unfortunately, again, they just keep losing players. And it's Jurkovic again this afternoon has said that we've lost Miller. I think in the back of our minds, we probably half expected at some point that could happen. We didn't want to think about it. We feared it, but it has happened. And Liam Miller came on with 20 minutes to go, and he went off. He went off with just over 10 minutes to go, and it looks like a hamstring. They're going to get him scanned on Monday, but the fear is that it is a hamstring, and he'll be out for however long. I mean, you'd imagine a month minimum, as long as it's not a serious tear of a hamstring, and it puts him out for 3 months. You hope it is just a short-term thing, and he'll be back after I mean, I'd be amazed if we see him before the international break. I would almost guarantee that he's not going to be back before the international break, because of how hamstrings are. But, well, as I say, we'll have to wait and see on that. He's going to get scanned on Monday. The other big injury thing that was, obviously, Adjun did his Q&A on Friday night and referenced Matt Crooks. Well, Matt Crooks, if you remember back on Tuesday when he slid, we laughed about it being a dummy for Miller's first goal. He's hurt his pectoral here. Now we don't know yet if he needs surgery. If he needs surgery on it, then he's going to be out for a couple of months, which is another massive blow, obviously. But he's been able to play today. They think he'll be able to play next week at Norwich City. We'll have to wait and see. He's going to get another assessment early next week, so that's another one. Yeah, David, not David, I'll come back to your point in a minute. Robert, injuries are going to cost us the playoffs. Unfortunately, and look, we're still early in the season. We're only 12 games in, and they're 8th. So let's be positive, because it's been a fantastic start. But injuries, that was always Sergei's kind of worry, and he said that all I pray for is the health of the players, and he said it every single week, and every single week they lose somebody else. So what's that now? You're going to go into the Norwich game with, and we'll come to Norwich in a minute. You're going to Carrow Road next weekend with no Bellumi, no Casey Palmer, no John Lundstrom, looks like no Liam Miller, no Mohamed Bellumi, potentially no Matt Crooks, although we don't know yet. So that injury list is creeping up. There was no Akin Famewo today. There was no David Akintola today, although we expect that both of those will be available next weekend to give squad depth, because obviously you've got a couple of young boys on the bench today. Brandon Williams was back, incidentally, but didn't get on the pitch. But I think McBurney's still week to week. He's not in full training. He's not training with the group. He's doing his stuff away from the main group. So again, from what I understand, it's unlikely that we're going to see McBurney at Norwich. Perhaps maybe after that, maybe for Derby, possibly. But it's it's day to day at the minute with Ollie. But clearly they need him back. But conversely, they don't want to rush him back just to have him in the squad and have him on the bench or in the team, and then he aggravates that calf injury. So they've got to be really careful, and they're dropping like flies at the minute. And that's the real shame, isn't it? Because, like Robert, you talk about the playoffs. I think we've seen a lot from City in the first 12 games that suggests that they are a team capable of challenging. You know, that they're in 8th now. They're 5 games unbeaten. They've won 3 of those. So I think they are, with the quality they've got, you do fancy them to have a good season, but it's just that durability. We said it in the summer about that's the risk when you bring in players perhaps that have had injury problems before or haven't played a lot. That is always the risk, and it can happen to anybody. You could have an unblemished injury record and get a bad injury. It happens, and it is. We've just spoken to Shemi Ajayi just now, and I sort of asked him about the injuries, and he said it's, as somebody that's had major injury problems this season as well. He said it's the Championship. It happens. A lot of teams are without big players, and there does seem to be more and more big injuries across the board now. So you just have to hope that they've got a clear week now going to Carrow Road. They can have a. There was a lot of walking wounded after Birmingham, after Leicester. They've got a clear week. Then they've got the 3 games, and then they've got the international break, which is massively important for them. I think we said at the time after the Sheffield United win that perhaps that's come at a good time for them. I know they'd won the game. You've got that bit of momentum, but I think especially now, whatever happens in the next, in the next 3 games, having that 2 weeks before the trip to QPR will just give them a bit of a break. Obviously, Liam Miller won't be going, almost assured now of not being involved with Canada. Shemi will go off with Nigeria. There'll be 1 or 2 others that go away. Casey won't be going away with Jamaica. Not that it really matters because he's not available anyway. But there's a lot of players that just need a few days just without playing football, and that hopefully that break will help them, because once they come back after the November break, bloody hell, it's a long throw into March, isn't it? So, and you've got the FA Cup, although historically the FA Cup doesn't usually bother us. So David, let's go through some comments. David, Gordon to concede from a corner with 3 centre backs. I agree. I think I've not seen the replay, but the talk was that Gelhardt should have picked him up. So yeah, I mean, you've got 3 massive centre halves in Egan, Ajayi and Charlie Hughes on the pitch. You've got Enis Destan on the pitch, who's massive. You've got Darko JB on the pitch, who's massive, and they've all left Luke Berry's 3 or 4 yards out front of goal. It's not like he's ghosted in, and they've not tracked him. It's not like it's got in from 25 yards and you put your hands up and you go, great goal, like the other night. They've left somebody 6 yards in the 6-yard box unmarked. So that's completely avoidable, and I think that is the real frustrating thing. And I agree with you, David. That's why 91 minutes. You've worked, you've grafted so hard for 91 minutes. These games are horrible games. They're not particularly great to watch. You've got to grit it out, and you get your nose. The first goal's so important. You get your nose in front. They defended really well. They limited after that first couple of minutes where Charlton could have been 2-0 up inside 3 minutes. They actually defended really well. Yes, Charlton had the couple of odd moments, but for the most part, I felt that City were in relative control. They weren't great. They've not played at the level that we've seen in recent weeks, but they were doing a really, really professional job on Charlton and having got in front. But as we know, football's not a complicated game. If you don't, 1-0 leads are always precarious, and it only takes a mistake, a moment, a mistake from a Hull City player, a mistake from a referee, a bit of bad luck, or a worldie from somebody, and you go from winning a game to drawing a game, and that's what's happened today. That they had opportunities to put them to bed. It plays well on the counter attack as we've seen previously, but they were doing a professional job and just seeing it out. But as I say, you always leave yourself susceptible to that moment, and ultimately they've switched off from I'm not sure, and this isn't intended as a criticism of the fans necessarily, but the nonsense with the corner flag, when the teams take a corner and trying to get the referee to come across and check if the ball's in the quadrant. I'm not sure if that helps, if that breaks the concentration. Again, it's not intended as a criticism of 1 or 2 in the north stand, but I just don't know if that. You say the players have got to be professional and be switched on, but I don't know if that helps. If just that he comes up to take the corner, they're all set, then the referee blows his whistle, he goes over to check to find the balls actually it is in the quadrant or on the line as it was, and then they take the corner and they've just maybe that break in focus as an I don't know, but I'm not sure that massively helps. But maybe I'm clutching at straws there. Danny, I think Kyle is what Kyle is. He's a grafter. He's a very good team player. He grafts, but he's never been a prolific striker. So I think if we were expecting him to come in and score 4 or 5 goals, he's not that player. He's never been that player in his career. But what he is, he's a real workhorse. He runs his socks off, and I won't have any criticism levelled against him in terms of his application or his attitude. He's just not. He's not Ollie McBurney, and unfortunately, when you take out Ollie McBurney, you're going to miss him, and that's not intended as a slight on anybody else. You know, they just haven't got. You know, he's been that good for them, and they do miss his presence. They miss his influence. They miss his threat and his goal scoring ability, and his that clinical edge. That instinct that top strikers have, and McBurney's got it, and that's why I know they got him on a free, but usually that's why those types. He's gone for £20 million before. That's why those types of strikers cost the big money, because they've got that natural killer instinct in front of goal, and you know, not many players at this level have that, and he was always going to be a miss. What I would say, you know, he went off midway through the second half at Birmingham, and they've won the game. They've beaten Leicester and they've got a point here today. So, you know, it's not like they're losing. He's come out of the team and they're losing every week. They're still, you know, getting points. And what was it Liam used to say? Points accumulation, and that's what they're doing. And as I say, you can't get over the disappointment of today. But I think when that disappointment dissipates a little bit, we'll go 7 point. I said it before the game that I felt this was in some ways the trickiest game of the three, because Birmingham away takes care of itself. It's a big game. Big occasion away at St Andrews. Then you've got Leicester at home again, takes care of itself. Big occasion, big team come in. You know, anything you get against those sorts of teams, you can consider it a bit of a bonus. This was the one. This was the sticky game for me, I thought, and I not wanted to be negative, because I felt it was a game they could win. I wanted them to win the game. And I believe they could win the game, but I felt maybe a point wouldn't be so bad given the context of the week, the amount of players they've got unavailable. So it's turned out that way. Just on, Benjamin Gelhardt lost his man. And I think Joff he's always a brutally honest guy. And if he'd have come out, he'd have said, yeah, I hold my hands up. I lost him for the goal. Flip side, 3-3 for Joff. Fantastic goal to put the team on the way. Created a couple of other good moments as well. So while he should have done better in that moment, he should have tracked his runner. I still come back to the original moment. The corner was avoidable. The goalkeeper has to, for me, Panda has to do better from the ball into the initial ball into the box. Come out. If you can't claim it, if you're not confident that you can claim the cross, get two fists, batter it away up to halfway line, then Charlton, because they committed everybody forward, have then got to go back to retrieve it. That gives City then time to get out and get back in shape. Then they're going to ping the ball long back into the box and you go again. Instead, he doesn't do that. He flaps at it. It doesn't get cleared. It then gets turned back towards goal and they have to fudge it over the bar for a corner. I just think the goalkeeper in that situation, while I admire his positivity and coming to try and claim it, he has to do better with it. If you can't, as I say, as the goalkeeper, if you can't come and catch it 100% and then go down and dive onto it, you've got to get two fists and get it out as far away from danger as possible. And I think, as I say, I think that is the problem. Robert, agree with you. Danny, in terms of injuries, it's one of them, isn't it? If you look at the players that are getting injured, Bellumi and Miller have both come back from ACLs. Everybody knows that when you come back from ACLs, hamstrings are the one thing that goes, and they generally happen to every single player. It happened to Rodri at Manchester City. Came back from an ACL. He's struggling to get back fit. So that happens. We signed Shemi Ajay, top player at this level, but has a history of hamstring injuries. And West Brom, I said this before, West Brom don't let Shemi Ajay go if he plays 46 games a season. So that's the risk you're taking. And when you are, with respect, shopping in the free transfer market, in the loan market, it can happen that the players that you're signing are coming with checkered injury pasts, or perhaps haven't played a lot, or you're signing loan players that perhaps haven't played a lot. That is unfortunately a consequence of the situation that the club find themselves in. And sometimes it's just unfortunate. Some injuries are unfortunate. McBurney is unfortunate. Casey Palmer picked it up away on international duty. So, Matt Crooks, it's nothing to do with the pitch. It's nothing to do with the training regime or anything like that. It's just a freak injury. He slips over, goes for a tumble, and he hurts his chest. I mean, it's almost like you think we're cursed. But I think there are a lot of, when you look at the team news from around the Championship and around football in general, there are a lot of players getting injured. Whether it's the pitch is, whether it's the amount of games that teams are playing, whether it's the I don't know, the boots they're wearing, whether there could be any myriad of reasons why it feels like there's a lot of injuries and and it's not just niggles that players miss a week and come back and then they're fine. You know, players are now out for a month, 6 weeks minimum all the time, and while it feels worse at Hull City, I do think there's a lot of clubs in the Championship and in the Premier League as well that are in a similar boat. So but it is frustrating, and we said at the start of the season that if there was going to be a reason for City to struggle this season, it would be injuries. It would be losing key players at key times. And while they're not struggling because they're doing brilliant, the manager's doing a fantastic job. You know, they're getting results. The team are doing a brilliant job. If they keep losing key players, it is going to have an impact. But at the minute, as I say, they're still churning out results, even with all that injury list and the spine. It's pretty much every player they've got out injured is in the first team if they're fit. So I still think they're doing a great job. Richard, Joseph's work rate is fantastic, but he's not a goal scorer. I think that sums it up. He's not a goal scorer. He will get goals, but he's not an out-and-out finisher. But needs must. Until McBurney comes back, KJ's got to keep going. Richard, the manager's doing a fantastic job. I absolutely agree. I suppose I think there's legitimate questions about his setup today. Did the system he went matched up with Charlton? Some would say your Hull City at home, you know, believe in your own system that is going to be better. But I think with the players out and third game in a week, I can understand why he did what he did. And let's be honest, it's easy to look back and go, well, he got the system wrong, or he should have done this, or should have. They're winning the game. They found a way to win the game up until the 91st minute. If that doesn't happen, if Panda clears the cross properly, or Joff doesn't switch off, that gets cleared, and probably they win the game. And we all go, manager got it right. He had to change his tactics to cope with 3 games in a week, lots of injuries, lots of tired legs, difficult team to play against, who, by the way, are in great form, are on the back of a 3-0 win at Ipswich Town. He's found a way to win the game. So I think you have to cut him some slack to an extent that, yes, he made those changes that he felt was the best game plan to get a result. He was moments away from getting the result. They're winning 1-0, and then they make a couple of players make a couple of big errors, and they end up dropping 2 points. So, but yeah, Richard, I'm a big fan. You know I am. I wrote a piece yesterday saying the manager's given belief back to the supporters. Supporters got confidence again. They're coming here, believe, and they can win games. You know, that would have been 5 wins. So whilst we're early, I still think that fans are positive, and the manager, his staff, and the players have given the fans reason to believe again, and I think that's important. Louise, 10 points out of 12, equal on points with the 6th. Absolutely, anybody would have taken that. Completely agree. They're above Leicester. They're above Southampton. They're above Ipswich Town. They're above Sheffield United. They're above a lot. Norwich, obviously, who we play on Saturday. Will Liam Manning still be in a job? I don't know. Hopefully, for City's sake, he is. But if you look at where they finished, I still think they're doing a fantastic job. And I agree with you, Louise, that given where they were at the start of the season, lots of unknowns, lots of new players, new manager, stayed up on goal difference. I still think 10 points from 12. When you look at the games they've had, I think that's a very, very good return, and we shouldn't forget that. Yeah, Robert, agree with you. Danny, Giles was outstanding. Drame, Giles was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. There was probably 3 or 4 players I thought were could have been man of the match. I thought Charlie Hughes was exceptional. I thought Gilo was one of them. Gelhardt, I still gave it Gelhardt. I know I had to pick it before the end of the game, which is ironic and a bit weird, but there you go. But before what happened, the equaliser. I actually thought Regan was brilliant in midfield. I thought Hazim Matovic was brilliant in midfield. Drame's a curious one, because one minute he looks a will beater, and the next he just looks out of sorts. He's so inconsistent, and I think that's what stops Cody Drame from being a very, very good player in the Premier League, is that inconsistency, from being fantastic 1 minute and almost in the next breath he gives the ball away, or he does something you go, well, why have you done that? He got beat second half, back post with a header, and we saw at Bristol City how many time and time again he got beat at the back post with a header and that's clearly a flaw in his game that he's got to correct, because if he's playing right back and I'm the opposition, I'm saying get the ball in back post, get somebody getting a running jump on Cody Drame, because they're going to beat him in the air, because he's quite static, and then he tries to jump from a standing start, which we know is difficult at the best of times, particularly when you've got somebody who's got a running jump on him. So I'm a big fan of Cody. I really like him, but I just think he's so inconsistent, and that's what stops him from being a player that is capable of playing at a high level. Abby, not sure on today's setup. However, yes, we drew. We didn't lose. Right now, I take that. Saw fatigue in certain players. Giles is currently earning his spot. I've personally heavily criticised him in previous seasons. This season, hats off. Yeah, he's been. Abby, I agree. Gilo's been absolutely brilliant. And I think we're going to be speaking. We've got lots coming up this week, so we're going to be speaking to him this week, which is great because I always enjoy talking to Gilo. And I'm going to ask him about his comment about McBurney's comments about trying to get him an England call up. Robert, I think the goalkeeper. Yeah, I've covered the goalkeeper. I like Pandor, but he's got an error in him, and unfortunately, when you're a goalkeeper, if you make a mistake, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a goal. But Tony Slater, man of the match. Can't wait for Bellumi, Matazo, Lundstrom. Will McBurney be ready for Norwich? Sadly, I don't think he will be. No. So sorry to pop that positivity balloon, Tony, but yeah, I agree. I thought Regan was brilliant. I think I've got to be honest. I think Regan's been fantastic in the last few weeks. He's got competition. He knows he's got to play well to keep the shirt. So yeah, kudos to Regan because we all love him. Benjamin Panda was a bit shaky when trying to claim. I mean, he made a couple of great claims in the box, but it's that one at the end, isn't it? As I say, I'm not going to keep going over it. He's either got to claim it or he's got to punch it miles away. Flapping at it, he's kept his team under pressure. They've lost a corner, they've scored, but I'm going over it. Danny, maybe the corner antics delaying the kick made the players lose. And that's my point. I don't know because I'm not out there, but I just feel sometimes that making the ref, they're all set for the corner. The ball's about to come in. The referee then blows his whistle, goes over to, because the fans are trying to say it's not in the box. Oh, sorry, the fans are shouting to say it's not in the corner box, the quadrant. The referee goes over, says, yeah, it is. He then blows his whistle. They've got to reset again, and perhaps you would think the players would be able to concentrate and deal with those things, but it's those tiny microscopic percentages that make a difference in a game. And perhaps, that happening, they've switched off, they've lost, but maybe they had Berry and they've lost him. I don't know. You'd have to watch the replay, but I've got to be honest, I don't know why they do it. It seems odd. Loads of fans keep coming to me and saying, why do we keep doing it? There were fans, some of the City fans I spoke to after the game, like, why do we keep doing it? I don't know. Whatever. It's not for me to, I'm not criticising. It's not for me to say, but I do think I just don't necessarily understand why they do it. But anyway, let's just check a few more comments before we go. Fans were quiet today, Robert says. Abby, 100% agree on Slater, closely followed by Giles and Shemi. Brian Hadzimitovic was outstanding again, along with Vijay. Difficult to argue. Daniel, give over many distractions in the match. I didn't like the team today. No goals. Nurse thought he did the same with Preston. Paid them far too much respect. Yeah, fair point. Like I said, I'm not saying that is the reason they conceded the second goal. Clearly, I'm clearly not saying that, because the reason they conceded the equalising goal was not because the referee had to go and mess around with the corner ball. That's not what I'm saying. The reason they conceded the second goal is because they fluffed the cross in the first ball in, and didn't mark Luke Berry. But sometimes little minute, when games are decided by half percentages, little things can have an impact. But ultimately they've got to be better. Perhaps he was too respectful of Charlton. But as I say, they were winning the game and they threw it away in the final second. So you would, if they win the game, you say he got given everything that's going on, all the injuries and the struggles they've got with players, you say he's got his game plan spot on. So I don't think we should hammer the manager because they drew about his game plan. Personally, I wasn't overly sure at kick-off, but at 90 minutes, I'm thinking they're about to get the job done. So yeah, it's horses for courses. Quickly, Norwich. Let's see what happens with Norwich over the next few days. Liam Manning under massive pressure. They've lost again today. They're in the second bottom. I don't think their squad's great, personally, given where it was last season. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with their manager before the game. The last thing City need is him being sacked and potential manager. Is that a myth? I don't know. One thing I do know is Jurkovic probably gets manager of the month if they'd have won today, because that'd have been 4 wins out of 4 in the month. He's probably still up for for manager of the month though, with 3 wins and a draw, which is a terrific return. Aaron, I think the majority taking a draw. Great week. Agree with that. I said that at the top. 7 points from 9. You never any week in the Championship, if you're taking 7 points from 9, you snap your hand off. Nathan Jones said that after the game. I apologise, I didn't see who it was, but somebody said about their celebrations. Apparently Ashley Young was moaning that they celebrated at Ipswich like they'd won the league. I'm never going to argue. Football's about moments. Football's about winning. You've just come off. You've been in. They're a big club, Charlton. They're a great football club. They've been in League One for years, wallowing in League One for years. They've now come into the Championship when all the focus is on Birmingham and Wrexham. They've gone up. They've beaten Sheffield Wednesday. They've beaten Ipswich 3-0 at Portman Road. They've come here and got a 91st minute equaliser. Let them enjoy it. Let them enjoy it. Why not? I don't fall out. I don't fall out with teams. It's like Arsenal, when Arsenal won at Liverpool. Was it Liverpool? Or sorry, won at Newcastle. Scored twice. Did they score twice late on? They won late anyway. And people were moaning about them celebrating like that. Why? Why not enjoy it? You know, it's hard to win football matches at any level, but it's hard to win matches in the Championship or get good results. Why not enjoy it? Why not celebrate? I couldn't care less if Charlton want to celebrate that point like they've won the league. Let them. Fine. Their fans have travelled, 1,500 of them have travelled all the way up here today, and they've got a last-minute goal. You can't tell me if Hull City are away at Norwich on Saturday, and you're losing 1-0, and I don't know, Charlie Hughes batters one in at the back post, and they nick a point, that the 900 fans that have made the effort to travel to Norwich and pay 35 quid or whatever it is are going mad. You're not going to celebrate that? No, I'm not having that. Football's about moments. Football's about enjoying moments. And if you've nicked a point away from home, you can celebrate that, and I'm fine with that. Football's about enjoying results. Robert, questions on January? Yes, it will be, but we'll come to that at a later date in terms of one in, one out. John, 12 games to play in November, December. That's why they're playing, Williams, Famewo, JB and Destan have all played under 21 games recently. It's a balance though, isn't it, between letting them play 21s and risking getting injured and getting them into the first team, but I don't disagree with you on that. Manager hasn't made any mistakes. I think he has made mistakes. I think he would argue that he's made mistakes. Of course he has, but he's doing a fantastic job, and as I say, the team are doing a great job. This time last year, look where they were, and look how it went. That's not going to happen here. You can never say never in football, but they're playing well. They're getting points. They're scoring goals. They look a really, really good side. They're 8th in the table. Let's have a bit of perspective. Yes, they've dropped 2 points today, but they've got 7 points from 9. They've got 10 from the last 12, playing Sheffield United, playing Leicester, away at Birmingham. They're doing all right. They're doing all right, and they've got a good week. They've got 3 nice games coming up, as nice as the Championship can be. Let's just quick scroll through before I finish, because I need to get home. Harry should have looked after Miller better. Yeah, I guess perhaps they could have brought him off on Saturday. Maybe today's a consequence of him playing 100 minutes. It's impossible to say, because he could have done his hamstring on Tuesday night. Maybe he doesn't do his hamstring today, but does it at Norwich. I think it's always a risk when you've been out for a year and you come back and you do an ACL, and all the triggers in training would have been right. So I think it's just one of those. You just have to. It's just unfortunate, and unfortunately, City have lots of unfortunate. Yeah, Danny. Nathan Jones said it to me. I spoke to him after the game. I got some nice quotes from him, and he said City are a good side. They're playing well, and it's a big point for them. I mean, one of the Charlton guys said you've had I think he said you've had a solid week, and Jones ripped into pieces and was like, a solid week. We've beaten Sheffield Wednesday at home. We've won away at Ipswich, and we've got a last-minute point here. I think it's better than a solid week. But teams will look at City now and go, whereas last season they'd have gone, we're going to City. That's an easy 3 points. We've got to turn up, score a goal, and we're going to win the game. I think that's how a lot of teams approached it last season. This season, totally different, and City are a feared team now. So credit to everybody for that being the case. Yeah, Phil, agree with you. Phil, yeah, improving. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I say the overriding feeling is of frustration today, but I think in the morning everybody will look. I think Monday morning everybody looks at it and goes, "That's not a bad point." Danny getting harder and harder every week at the moment, but or Gelhardt loves it here. We wrote. I know Adrian said in his thing last night that he took a pay cut and he wanted to come here. We said that in the summer that Gelhardt made it clear from day one that he wanted to come back. He obviously took a massive pay cut because his wages automatically increased because of Leeds' promotion. The promotion increase clause that players have in their contracts was triggered once Leeds got promotion. So Joff has taken a pay cut. We said that in the summer, and he made it clear that he wanted to come. So you've got a player. You've got a player that wants to be here. That's important. There's some spam. Get rid of her. Some more spam. Just go away. We don't want the spam. Get rid of it. Yeah, Brian, I agree with you on that. Undala's not been fully fit, Danny, but I'll have more on that in the week. Joint 6th at the start of November, given the summer is an amazing start. John says, can't disagree with that. Right, that's it from here at the MKMC. I'm going to sign off. Just to say, we've got plenty coming up this week. We've got an open training session, which will be out on Monday. Then we'll have the podcast, I think, Tuesday this week because of me being here on Monday. Then on Thursday, we've got pre-match press, and there's also the bowling with the Tigers, which we'll be at to see how that goes. Hopefully no injuries with bowling with the Tigers. And obviously then we'll be down, I can't wait, down at Norwich on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. Yes, Norwich away. And then we have the small matter of the Sheep the following Tuesday. And then the last game here against Portsmouth to round off this hectic period. Right, as always, everybody, thank you so much for getting in touch. Appreciate all your comments. We see them all. We'll have the podcast. Get in touch at the 1904 Club. We'll have that with you on Tuesday. So if you want to get anything off your chest, any questions, any comments, anything you want to raise at the 1904 Club on Twitter, as it is, and we'll do our best to get those answered. As I say, we'll have plenty for you throughout the next few days. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a safe trip if you've been here, and have a great weekend.